Joining me live is Leigh Howard, CEO of Asialink Business at the University of Melbourne. Thanks for your time. Look, we know why the federal leaders and ministers and so on head there. There's always about trade, but also about diplomacy. State leaders, is this just about linking up business and commerce opportunities and sort of not so much about the diplomacy side so much?
Yeah, good to be with you. Certainly there's a lot of interest from the states in their international opportunities for trade and investment. So this has been a theme for some time. Some states have been at it for a lot longer than others. But this investment in growing the China relationship, restoring trade and investment opportunities is certainly quite pronounced recently. So I expect this won't be the last visit announced by a state premier to China.
They're all seemingly queuing up. What do we sort of assume is said behind closed doors? And they were particularly closed because the Victorian Premier took no media with him. That they can sort of make as many soothing noises as possible because their domain is not having to necessarily, I mean, they're allowed to, but speak out about human rights and so on. And they say, look, talk to the federal government, but just try to be as warm as possible. Is that the state approach?
It's certainly signalling on a range of fronts, so signalling to their counterparts, and there's a range of counterparts in a country like China, national but also at the provincial level, and even urban representatives of cities. But it's also signalling confidence to exporters, so exporters of the particular state, and also distributors, importers on the China side as well, giving them some confidence that the relationship's on the mend, and that they can invest time and energy in developing partnerships with each other, that they're not going to be singled out, that's far less likely today than perhaps it was, say, 3 years ago. And so it's worthwhile cultivating these business relationships and these channels to market.
Yeah, I guess like anything else, it's just face-to-face meetings, getting a bit of a rapport is the hope there. Do we assume the guardrails are firmly there after the Belt and Road deal that Victoria signed up to, that we're not going to see any more of these with state leaders, that they sort of have been told, whether it be publicly or privately, stick to your patch? Yeah,
I think so. I don't see from our position in terms of working with a range of folk, a range of stakeholders, any real aspiration to venture into those types of arrangements again. So to your point, it's much more about signalling positivity, the strength of the relationship, looking for specific sectoral opportunities, whether that's international education, agribusiness, resource exports, other technical expertise around healthcare, and other sectors like that as well. So I really think each state's there to start pressing its case for its particular strengths and interests and its exporter profile with China.
I know you look at things from a sort of business point of view as well. So for states and federal governments, open things as much up as you can, get access, leave it up to the business community. Is there a wariness though that this is not quite China 2.0 because we never know when the door might be not necessarily slammed shut, but harder to get through in the future, that you can't have that reliance anymore, if you like, that things will just be on a continuum of improvement?
Definitely. So the big theme of the last few years has been diversification and energy spent in developing relationships with other markets. We've seen a lot of recent energy and resources invested in the India relationship, and that's presenting a really positive window of opportunity for Australian businesses. But across the markets of Southeast Asia, each of these countries a lot of them are very populous in their own right. They're becoming increasingly affluent. So each of these markets has something to offer. I think the days of putting all of the eggs in the China basket, so to speak, are behind us. There's a recognition of the exposure that being so heavily invested in one market, the challenge that has presented and could present again. So look, there'll be an attractiveness about premium prices coming back online as the China relationship normalises. But there will still be some caution and also a desire to see a return on the investment in developing relationships in other markets.